My name is Dave Gardner.
And I'm Mary Gardner.
And we've been members of this church since, 80, probably 88, 89.
Mm-hmm. We've been married for 37 years, and it's all been glorious and getting better.
Yep.
That's the cool thing.
And we're working on getting closer to 38, and it does get better every day.
Yep.
Been through a lot, but the Lord has got us through it, and through every challenge that He's got us through, we've come out stronger, in love with Him and in love with each other. You know, when we were in D.C., Mary would start having a lot of issues where the right side of her body would do all kinds of weird things, and she would actually list to the right, you know. And we had a hall, and she'd walk down the hall, and she'd bounce off the hall on the right side, walking down the hall. We thought, I'm not sure this is normal, you know. So
Mary's doing her pinball.
Yeah. So we ended up going to Walter Reed, you know, which was a wonderful hospital, and they took great care of us, and that's where they diagnosed her as having a brain tumor.
The only reason that they discovered it was because I kept having seizures, a lot of seizures and headaches. They went to do an MRI, and in the MRI they found that there was a small brain tumor. But they said that it was so small that it wasn't a candidate for being removed at that time. When we moved back to Klamath Falls in 2003, we were setting up house. We spent the whole summer getting it all cleaned up, and the seizures seemed to be somewhat under control again. There was more medication involved and such. But then, we came back in April, and then come around August, I wasn't able to talk. All I could do was stutter if I could get any words out. The thought process, it was all up here. It wasn't coming out though. And it was very frustrating because I would try to make my points, but I couldn't. Even if I could get a word out, it would all be stuttered, so I couldn't even do that. I couldn't say anything. When I walked, like David said, I would list, and I would always go over to the right and hit walls, hit people, sometimes fall. You know,
the right side of her face would droop, you know, and it was, many times I thought she was having a stroke because of the way her side of her face would just go completely limp, just that one side. Not being able to physically do anything about it was really, really tough. You know, at this point we knew what the problem was. You know, her brain tumor was growing very rapidly at this point, and it was getting to the point where it was, you know, taking up the space that her brain needed. And so they decided to take it out. And, you know, up to this point I'd kind of been able to take care of things because I would, you know, help her through all the different issues of life. And when she wouldn't able to talk, I would say what she was trying to say. But all of a sudden they're talking about doing surgery. I felt so helpless, you know, and the woman that I expected to spend the next 60, 70 years with, all of a sudden they had a very real chance of dying. And I remember sitting in the hospital and before they took her into surgery, saying, oh Lord, what now? And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, you know, this is where the rubber meets the road. You've said you were a Christian all these years, and you've done, you know, you've done all the things. You went to church and you paid your tithes and you went to Bible studies and you taught youth group and all that stuff. But now let's see where your faith really is, because are you going to trust the Lord for Mary, no matter what the outcome, be it she live or be it she die, you know, either way. And so I remember sitting in the hospital saying, okay, Lord, this is it. This is really where the rubber meets the road. I have to trust you. I have nothing else. I have just you. And that was hard. It was very hard because I wasn't 100% sure she was going to come out of the hospital or come out of the operating room, you know.
The victory began for me when I had consciousness. I mean, when I was coming out of the anesthesia, because I remember, there's nothing else that I remember. I do remember thinking, I want I want people to hear me singing. I want them to hear that when they come to see how I'm doing. And that was and I was trying to think, because you're still groggy and you're still trying to come out of whatever it is, and I want people to hear me sing. I want them to hear the Lord, singing a victory song. And I have no idea what song it was that I sang, but I wanted specifically my dad, because he wound up coming up, and so I got to sing to him when he came over.
You came out of the anesthesia singing a Christian song, singing to him. I mean, that's how, when everybody wakes up kind of groggy, Mary woke up singing a Christian song.
I told David, I said, you watch. At the end of all of this, they will have to go back in. And he said, no, Mary, it won't happen again. I said, no, they will, but this time they're going to go in and they're going to have to remove everything that they put in, because God will have replaced everything. Actually, I had to learn how to walk after the surgery, and I don't remember that. David told me that, but I still had the cane. I was standing up on the platform, and I just remember just shaking.
Mary walked very slowly up the side and up the...
Felt like Yoda.
Yeah, with her cane, slowly worked her way up there, and you could hear a pin drop in the church. Everybody, because her head was still shaved, almost completely shaved. And she had this huge scar on her head, a big horseshoe indentation, because her skull was completely taken out, and then put back in. And she stood there, and you could tell she was very wobbly, couldn't hardly stand. So I believe as Pastor Ernie got a stool and put it underneath her, and she sat there and sang, and there was not a dry eye in the place. People were bawling everywhere. It's like, if she can do that, if she can get up in front of everybody and sing after what she's been through, then the Lord will get me through whatever I'm going through too. It was a Holy Ghost-filled time. I'm telling you, I'll never forget that.
Within that year, I felt better than I had ever felt in my entire life. I don't remember feeling as good as I did then. And it was great. I could do anything, and I felt invincible. But I would say it was in 2003, coming early 2005, I started feeling really bad again. And it was all tumor-related symptoms, that's the same symptoms that I had to the tumor. And I thought, oh, Lord, not again. So I thought, well, we'll just deal with it and see what happens. And it kept continuously getting worse. Stuttering started happening. I was walking to the side again, seizures, headaches, the whole 10 yards. And so we finally went in, and they couldn't find what the heck was wrong with me. Didn't have a clue. They thought that, you're just thinking it's happening, and it really isn't. They all sorts of things. But my neurologist, or the neurosurgeon said, it's not that I don't believe you, but the only thing I could do is go in and look around, see what's going on.
She kept hearing this click up in the side of her head where the scar was. And he said it clicked. And she goes, yeah, it's like something's moving in there. And he goes, that can't be. And so finally, he x-rayed and MRI and MRI and CT scanned and everything you could think of, and he couldn't find anything. So finally, he said, let's just do an x-ray. And right where Mary kept saying she heard the click was where one of the rivets or screws that he put in to hold her skull together was right there. And so
they went in and found that I had popped a screw.
Yeah, a screw loose.
Got a screw loose.
Well, the amazing thing about that was that her skull was regenerating bone. She was in her early 50s, and she was growing new bone. And the doctor said that was just unheard of at her age to be, they say normally muscle and sinew and stuff grows over it, but the bone never regenerates. Mary's skull regenerated new bone and actually popped those rivets out of the way and broke them, which caused its own issues because now the piece that was inside of her skull fell down against her brain and was shorting her brain out. And that was what was causing all these issues. But it's because the Lord was not just healing her, regenerating Mary. And so finally he just went in and took them all out and then glued them all up in place so they could never bother her again.
The one thing that I could give God thanks for all the time, not only now in Thanksgiving, but all the time, is his faithfulness. He has never left me. He has never abandoned me. He has always been there. Even when I have cried out and said, "Where are you? Where are you?" He was always there. Always there. And I know that, it sounds all holy and all that, but it is truth. There is not one moment that I did not know that I was loved by my Father in heaven. Not one. How much more thankful can you be for that,
If you trust the Lord, he will always be there for you. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be easy. In fact, most of the time it isn't easy. But if you trust him, it'll always work out. And our life is living proof.
What I would say would be believe big. Because my God is above anything you could ask or think. Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who can do all things. He's just so big. And he doesn't give small things. He doesn't believe in small. He doesn't know. Look at the galaxies, right? He doesn't believe small. He's a big God and he will do big things for you. We have to receive him, but we can expect them. We can expect them. Even when we can't see them, just keep expecting.
Victory, Jehovah.